Next up is our onion, and this is the way you would approach cutting an onion for the rest of your life. And it doesn't matter if it's a yellow onion, just this guy, a sweet Vidalia style onion, just this, which kind of have more of a saucer shape, a red onion, whatever, a white onion, which is bright white. They're all the same. They all have a root end. So these are the roots that grow down into the ground, and then the stem end, okay? So we all approach them identifying what those ends are and working from there. So I'm going to do the yellow onion for my pico de gallo. Sometimes I use the Vidalia, especially if I'm making it for like my mother who has an aversion to strong flavors. For her, I have to leave the jalapeno out and I have to use a sweeter onion. But traditionally a yellow onion is the basic, least expensive. That's what this would be. This is like a staple condiment in Mexico. So the first step, always, we got to turn something round into something stable. And we're going to do that by shaving a little bit off of the stem and the root ends. Okay, so we think of those as the north and south pole. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to just, this is the one time where I'm not starting on the board because it'd be just too high of an angle. And I'm going to take the size of the circumference of a quarter coin. So like a 25-cent coin, I'm going to remove that from both ends. And I don't want to go bigger than that for reasons that we'll get to in a second. So I've just taken that off. I'm going to spin it around and do the same thing on the root end. And to keep this stable, I'm really pushing down into the cutting board, protecting your hands with that curved bear claw position. So your knife, again, has to be sharp to do that. So now I've removed those. I have a flat edge that I can stand it up on. So the next step is to cut the onion in half, just like we did on the tomato, through those north and south poles. So I'm bisecting the onion in half, where the root end, which you can always identify, I don't know if we can see, it's a little yellower in the center, and you can see it there. So that's always going to be the root end. That is holding the entire onion together, the way the end of a head of celery holds it together, in the same way. The other end doesn't have that yellow middle. It's just the same color, or maybe even a little bit greenish at the top. But the brown or yellow, I'm trying to catch the light here. There we go. That indicates that's the root end. We want to cut that one in half exactly. So I'm going to put that side up so that I know I'm cutting it in half, always. So notice that I have not tried to peel the onion. That's like a rookie mistake. You want to peel the onion after this next step. So root end, I'm looking over the onion to get in half. I'm going to straddle it with my fingers like that so that I have a secure grip on it, and then just gonna cut through the onion. So now we have two halves that are, I'm trying to catch the light. I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it in this bright sunny sunlight if I back up. Interesting. Can't catch it. Oh well. You can see the layers of the onion, but you can also see them all connected down by the root end when you're actually looking at it. So now is the time where I've got this cut edge. I can easily get my thumb on the peel and I'm going to pull it off. And there'll always be the brown part, and then the outer layer of the onion is usually like papery or leathery. You want to remove that too. So I've got that first layer of the onion itself that's going to go, just because that's going to have an unpleasant texture and a slippery quality for cutting. I'm going to peel the brown off, and I want to grab that, usually that first layer of onion, and remove it. Okay. So that's going to go in my compost. I don't need that. And I'm doing it now purposefully at this stage before I cut anything off my onion, so that I know my cutting board is free from the peel part of the onion. We don't want that, the husk. I don't want any of that getting into my food by accident. And time and again, I see students not bothering to clean up, and then I pick out pieces of the peel from their finished product. So take the step 2, clean as you go, like we say all the time. All right, so now dealing with my half of the onion, we have this nice flat surface to put down for stability. And I want to identify again where's the root end. So that brownish side, I'm going to always connect to my wrist. I want the brownish side closest to my wrist of my guiding hand. So the brownish side is back here. This is what was the stem end, the root end back here. Because I'm not going to cut through that until I'm at the very end of cutting an onion. So first step is we're going to create planks. So just like on the tomato, planks going horizontal, and then sticks, longer fingers, almost like the baton, but it's still going to be connected at the root end of the onion, you'll see. And then the last step is to dice. And at the end of the dicing, all that's left is the root ball that we discard. So it goes into stock. So watch. For this, some people will put their hand on top like that. Other people will use the heel of their hand just to make sure that their fingers are out of the way. And I think that's fine. If you're a beginner, that's a good way to ensure your fingers are safe. I'm going to bring it close to where my tummy is on the cutting board so that the handle of the knife doesn't get in the way of the cutting board when I come in. So for this, we're going to go, again, medium to small dice, somewhere in there. If you don't like stronger bites of onion, go a little bit smaller and it'll be less powerful when you eat it. So pushing down on the onion with your guiding hand to keep it stable, making sure your knife is parallel to the cutting board and not angling up to make a wedge shape and not angling down to hit the cutting board. And I'm going to get like 90% of the way through and I'm going to stop. So my knife is stopping right there and I'm going to back that thing out. I'm going to back it out. I don't want to cut through the root ball because then all my pieces of onion fall apart and it becomes impossible to get nice squared cuts. So stop there and then with your hand pressure back that thing out. And then you're going to use your fingers on your guiding hand to bring it together again, heel on it, and you're going to come up higher. And I'm going to go, so I started 1/2 inch above the board, maybe a little bit less, and I'm going to go up another 1/2 inch. And I'm coming in again, and I'm stopping again when I'm 90% of the way through the onion. And I'm going to back that thing up. And I'm going to do one more probably for my pico de gallo, the top, and then back that thing up. All right, so now I have planks, but they're all connected at the back. So now we move on to sticks. So the onion came in this way. I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can angle my knife from the top like this and make my sticks that are connected at the back. So holding the pieces together, now my bear claw position comes into play. Arch your fingers forward. I'm going to come in, my knife is going to start at where I ended on the planks. That's where I'm going to pierce it here. I'm going to come in there and basically, let me see if I can show you. That's the position of where my knife pierced it in, and I'm making sticks coming down this way, but they're all connected up here. Okay, so come rock it down and pull it out. So I'm going to pierce in, rock it down, and pull it out. And my goal is for all of these sticks to be the same perfect rectangle shape and not twisting my knife this way or this way to get uneven shapes. Okay, when I get to the end, my fingers are definitely tucked. And now I have this onion with little sticks going across. And now it's just simple. The final step is to come through and cut off my dice. So fingers in your bear claw position. This is the last time I'm going to lean over. I'm looking to make cubes now. So the width of your sticks determines how big your cut is on your cubes. And I'm going to come all the way back here until I feel like I can't grip the onion anymore. So if the onion, my fingers are slipping down, then I need to stop, because if my fingers are slipping down, the knife is going to slip down too. So once I get to that point, I'm going to tip it forward and I can get about 2 more cuts off the top of the onion. And if they're still connected, then you can come in and free them. That all depends on how close you got to the root ball. So I've got this piece that's left with the root ball right here. I can cut a little bit off the sides, especially if I'm not making stock, but chefs would just throw this in the stock. But I'm gonna take a little bit of onion off of it. So I'm just making my stick on either side, and then I'm gonna come in and get a cube, so that really all that I'm not using is what was the root ball. It's all connected in there of the onion, and that's going into my compost bin or my stock container. So I've got all of this really nicely diced onion here. So I'm going to put that in its own container. I'm going to do the other half quicker as a review, and then we'll move on to our cilantro. All right, so beautiful. This is really, I cut it between a small and a medium dice because I don't like it too large for my pico de gallo. Okay if the tomato is a little bit bigger, but it doesn't have to be. All right, so second half. identify the root end. This is my browner root end, you can tell. And then I'm going to put that facing my wrist as I hold the onion. So this is the stem end. I'm going to start with my planks, moving it close to my body, holding my knife parallel, coming in 90% of the way there. Back that thing up. Come in a little bit higher now. Do it again. Stop. Right? And then back it out that way. And then maybe one more. Depends on how big your onion is, how many planks you make. So now my fingers move to the top, and I'm going to come in and pierce my sticks, rock down and pull out. Like that. Little pieces might fall off. If you hold the onion together in between, that will not happen. All right, so I've got those, just to make them my dice size and get them out of the way. So now I just come in with my tip on the board if it's a smaller onion, and I'm going to come through and cut my dice. If it's a bigger onion, you won't be able to get your tip on the board. When I get to the piece that I can't grip anymore back here, I flip it forward. So that's what I did. It was upright and now it's tipped forward. I can see the root ball again. I'm going to get a little bit more off the sides so that all I have left is that little root ball right there. Oh, the sun is not there. You can kind of see it right like that. That's the brown part. So that goes into my garbage bin. Make sure any pieces that came off of that root ball are fully separated. And there's my onion again. So once you have your tomato and onion, you can kind of assess. Some people have the approach that you have totally equal amounts of tomato and onion. I think most people who aren't used to a lot of heat, because onions do have a little spiciness to them, prefer a little bit less onion than tomato. So I'll probably not use all of this onion in my pico de gallo, but I'm going to assemble it a little bit to taste. But they're ready to go when I need them, and my jalapeno is there. So next step is going to be cilantro, and that's basically going to be it, and then we'll juice our lime.